Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Art of the Game here at Cabot Crossing. And this is where we talk about tabletop role-playing games, us three game masters with experience in various different types of games. We share tips, we share tricks, we do a little debating. And today, what are we talking about, Woody? I think.
Hey, well, this is actually Greg's topic, but yes, in
Greg,
indie publishing.
you tell him. No,
Yeah.
never mind. Don't listen to Woody. What was it?
Today we're talking about something I have so much experience with.
Yes.
For all my things I've published out in the world, I'm going to tell you about how you can self-publish. But I know how. But I just want to hear how you guys would do it if theoretically you all were publishing a book.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, it's an interesting topic because I think it's very rare to find a game master that doesn't try to write their own game at some point.
Or at least think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. We've all done it. Or played around the game mechanics. Thought, oh, this would be fun, right? But there is an interesting business side to it, and it's interesting given my experience publishing comic books and then switching to RPGs, and then when I started making my game, I didn't follow my lessons I learned from doing comics, and I'm going to tell you the first thing that actually I think is the most important thing is that before you actually put your book together, whether it's a comic book, or an RPG. You need to figure out how you're going to print it and understand the formatting for that. Because that actually caused me a lot of trouble with my own book. There's a few things I think I would have done very differently if I was doing it over again. But just in terms of the formatting of it, really, because you have to have an understanding of the economics of how affordable it is, and you have to have a page budget, and you have to know, if you can even get it out there, right? And I'm not even necessarily talking about going through DriveThruRPG because their system sucks. It is very hard to get a book to navigate their system, and they want you to do it a specific way. And if you didn't do that, then you may not be able to publish it on their site at all. And so, that is something else.
Are they that detailed about with the ebooks or just the print? If you want to do
the print version.
Okay.
Well, they have they have another thing to do that's really weird. So here's a book, right? Just any old RPG, it doesn't matter. So when you make a comic book, you have to have your bleed, which is around the size of this page. There's an 1/8 of an inch bleed that gets cut off. Okay, but on their version, they only want these three sides. This side is completely there is nothing here. Right.
Okay.
So you only have bleed on three sides, and I don't know why that is. They're the only company. I mean, I'd heard of that I think once before, but they're the only company I've run across that does it that way, and it's very weird. And
that's DriveThruRPG.
Yes, it is. And what's wrong with that I have an issue with, and maybe it doesn't matter because it's disappearing into the spine, so who cares? But if you're doing full bleed art, you have a problem with that because the issue with comic books is that the reason why the outer gutter space around the pages is an issue is because that allows for the drift, because they were usually using offset printing, so there's going to be some shift, and so that way you had enough gap to account for that shift without it being really noticeable. And so, but you also have to account for that in role-playing games too, depending upon how you're printing, right? Which is why RPGs have such huge margins often, right? And so one of the mistakes I made is I laid my book out like a comic book, and all of a sudden I had a problem, because I hadn't put enough gutter space. And so that was something I had to deal with, which basically limited me to only being able to print the book a certain way for a long time. So that's a real big issue that you have to take into account.
Yeah, and I'm used to, with Cabot Crossing, publishing fiction books. So I have to worry about this cover, maybe a little bit of interior art for the chapter. This one doesn't have it, but I could have it in chapters and stuff. Yeah. But it's a little bit less complicated compared to the art in RPGs.
I was looking at Shadow Dark in theirs. But...
Yeah, they've got a lot of border, Yeah. Well, the thing about books though is the publishing of a novel or a compilation book or whatever you've got, it's a well-oiled machine, right? And I think with RPGs, there's still a little bit of a wild west to it, because it's not like there are you often can't just go to a publisher and go, hey, I've got a book, an RPG, I want to publish it, sign me up. And it doesn't work that way. in a lot of cases, it does work the same way as it. I mean, like there's companies that you can pitch to, but it very much is the same kind of thing as it is in the comic book industry, where you have to be invited to the table. You can't just go apply for the job, and you also can't pitch a game without selling it, right? So if you were to like pitch a game to a publisher and you want them to pick up a game, and let's say they like it, and they want it, well, they're buying it from you. You no longer own it, and you may not be the one continuing to develop it. And there were a lot of stories like that where the guy that had the idea got cut out, and it isn't always because they got treated badly. It's because they didn't understand it was a business, and they, they didn't they weren't prepared to do what it took to get it made.
Or you can be screwed by Diamond going out of business and basically keeping all the books.
Well, and that's another problem too. You can have a distributor. Like, you can actually be quite successful at just going to Comic-Con and selling the book yourself. You can post it on TTRPG. There's lots of ways to be able to sell the product. It's just, but you got to be willing to put that work in. Like it's going to be a grind.
So can I ask you some detailed questions about how you do yours? Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead.
So what do you use do you use Affinity? Do you use some kind of software to format it?
Here's the hilarity. I am using a copy of Microsoft Publisher that I bought years ago for $20.
Oh, okay.
That's how I build everything. It's actually a very easy program to use. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't actually have to be a professional grade product. Believe it or not, there's a lot of people using that software in the background. You just don't know. And it's not producing a vector. And if you look really close at the text, you can see that it's kind of like a little bit imperfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect to look good when you print it. Like, it's just, that's, I think, an important lesson here is that you don't need expensive high-end software to build your book. Up until just recently, all these platinum books I talk about, those were still being made on like paste ups and sent to a printer with physical pages. Like he was literally assembling his books on Bristol board. He was very slow to take on digital product, but it is much easier if you have a program. I mean, you don't have to use InDesign, to make your book.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn Affinity, right? I think it is kind of a freer version of InDesign that's out there now. It's partnered up with Canva, bought it, but you can use it for free. But it's a learning curve for me because I use there's software for books and stuff. There's software like Atticus and Vellum that's created to help you format your books and stuff, and do little interior graphics and stuff that are common in books. But it's a whole nother level of graphics and stuff, and how creative you can get with the role playing game stuff.
Well, with how I'm building my book, one of the interesting points I'm running into is that you also want to have an ebook version, right? And so you can generate your own PDF, and it's possible to secure the PDF. You can actually talk to the people over at Adobe. They have really good tech support. They can teach you how to lock your PDF so nobody can steal your content. But as I have discovered, there are workarounds. I won't say what they are, but there is a thing you can do that actually completely avoids the security protocols. Your book, there is a stage in the process in which your book actually isn't secured anymore, even though you've already locked it. But I
understand the concern. I feel like if somebody wants to pirate your book, they're going to pirate your book.
For sure. But what you want is you want to keep people from cutting and pasting content, right? And so, when if you download the OGL,
you're one of those people when I try to make a cheat sheet and I just want to copy a couple lines and stuff and I can't do it. I'm like, no, and I have to handwrite it.
Yeah, I know that's me. But when you download the Open Gaming, the system reference document for 2014 5e, I don't know how they did this, right? But if you cut and paste the content, every letter is on a separate line. It just breaks it down into a column of letters and numbers. Wow. I'm like, you sons of bitches. And so, if you have to cut and paste, you got to go to Roll20 or something, to get to do it. But if you want to do a PDF, you got to be able to protect your product, right? And so, but the thing is that what I was running into with using the Microsoft Publisher, which is really interesting, is that depending on how you generate the PDF may actually be so degraded that even if it's a high quality technically it's high resolution, the image is so degraded you can't sell it. And so there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through to be able to generate that PDF. So there might be, like reasons to use some of these more sophisticated programs. I spent a lot of time figuring out how to do it and make it look good enough, and I did get there, but it was a huge effort.
It's tough because you got all these images. If you want to put them in there and kind of creatively and stuff, it's a lot of work. And then you have tables, lots of tables, and tables are a pain in the butt to.
Yeah, they are. Well, and so like one of the things you want to do also is you need a good workflow. And so what you want to have cut and pasted templates, right? Like once you've set up a format, make it so you can cut and paste, and that this format can be reused later in the book, so you don't have to keep retyping, right? Mm-hmm. Like when I typed up like the rules for spellcasting, you can cut and paste that into every character class, right, as your basic materials. You don't have to keep reprinting it. You're just going in and like tweaking it for that class, right? And then like you said, like you want to have this one table and you fill it out separately for each, for each character class, that sort of thing. You want to like, reduce your work, not increase it.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if AI could help with this.
No, screw actually. That. No. No, because it's like it's your work, it's your creation. It's there's what's the point? It's.
Yeah, I think it depends if you care about that type of thing. Like, I have not sold anything. I've put together stuff that I've given out for free, which is usually like extensions. I think the last one I did was the Star Wars. If you want to play Star Wars with DC-20, I put out a little module for that. Not module. What do you like? Supplement to that for making that work.
Yeah, if you join the Patreon for free, if you want to, you can find that link.
Yeah. Oh, is that there? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I think for that, I kind of put it all together. I told the AI to put it into Markdown, and then I found you gave it to me actually, homebrew site that makes like a nice homebrew template, and it can take in Markdown as a template. And I'm just like, okay. And so I just uploaded it.
What do you mean by Markdown?
People who are software engineers will know what I'm talking about, but anyone else will not. It's a certain weird format that is technical, but also readable still. It's like if you put asterisks around something, it makes it italic. You put double asterisks, it makes it bold. You can do like some basic tables with it and stuff like that. It's a simple format, but
HTML, right?
It's simpler than it. It's like HTML, but way simpler. But the point was, I also don't want to hand make Markdown, so I just took my notes and I threw it into AI and said, "Hey, turn this into Markdown," and it did. And that's because I don't care about the presentation. I just want to get it out, right? Yeah, like I'm not selling it.
And I cared very much about presentation, and a lot of what defined what I did was looking at the fact that these books are usually laid out very poorly. And like I actually really liked the Pathfinder 1E book until I started actually laying out a book, and I'm like, oh my god, why did we like this? Like, it's so bad. And even some of my Platy books I love, like a lot of my design decisions are based upon not repeating those mistakes, right, in the layout of the book. And so it's like when I put the book together, like I don't know if it's easy to see on screen, but like it's very easy. I want to make the book easy to use, so one of the things I did was I made it so that Christ, I just had it here. So every chapter starts on a facing page, right? So when you're flipping through the book, you can easily find each chapter because they're always staring you in the face, right? So it's like little things like that, and like separating out the content by chapter, so that's like everything that's supposed to be there is in this chapter. Right. And then using page references. So it tells you where to look when I talk about something. And then, like the basic rules of playing the game are at the beginning of the book. As you go through character creation, they're not buried somewhere else, So it's like things like that. Right. I did to try to make the game as accessible as possible. Because like there's a barrier to entry in these things, and you want to have your product be easy to use and have people want to have it. You want a good experience from reading your book, so. Another thing, by the way, is you definitely going to want to have art in your book generally. And I have one huge advantage where I'm at, because my book is just full of, I don't know if you can see it easy to flip through, but there's art everywhere. Mm-hmm. And that's the one thing I get the most compliments on. And it's varied. There's lots of stuff, like, this one here I did. But like, you generally, if you're doing your own self-publishing, you probably can't afford it. And that's the problem, is like, if I had the advantage of having invested thousands of dollars into a comic book series over the years, several of them. And so I had all these art assets I could tap into. So I only had to, exactly. Thank you, Greg. But like that's a huge advantage, right? Because like, if I had to pay for this art at, all at once, to publish the book, it would, I don't think I could have done it. It would have been hundreds and hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars.
That's what
yeah, and that's probably correct. But I've been doing it without Kickstarter, and I think I'm doing quite good under the circumstances. I think I'm coming up on having sold 500 copies.
The first anthology we came out with didn't have Kickstarter, but then I did it with the second one, and I wouldn't go back, at least not with the anthologies and stuff.
Yeah. I will say, I don't know what you guys think about this, but I do have some experience with commissioning stuff. There's plenty of starving artists out there in other countries that will do it for much less than an American will. And I don't think there's any shame into using those people.
No,
they'll want to do it. Yeah.
No, you are correct. You can get some amazing stuff for very little money. The problem is you're getting it from somebody that English is barely a second language. Like there's some very talented people that I like, that I would love to work with more, that are affordable, but like, you cannot explain to them what you want sometimes. And so it's there's one guy that I really like. The irony is his wife teaches English, and and I'm trying to explain to him what I need, and it's like, I'm not getting, like, you're not doing what I just described, right? And it's like,
there's also a cultural difference to where you're used to a certain culture that you're brought up when, like, you could be like, like He-Man, and it's going to be like, what?
And the reality is also, like, there's only so much stuff you're going to be able to get for free. And like, in my case, I've worked in thank you. I've worked in comics long enough that I've have like, there's people that owe me favors, right? Because I've been able to do things for other people as a favor. And so like, there's a lot of stuff I'm going to be able to get that either for an affordable rate, or maybe I could trade for it. But an average person designing RPG doesn't have that. So it's like, I'm in a unique position that you're not going to be in. It could be because like, every piece of art that you commission for the book is one more book you have to sell before you make a profit.
Yeah.
Or three, depending upon what the person, wants for it. So it's like, and the cheaper artists often are not delivering the higher quality art and that you maybe want. And so it's like, it's a balancing act, right?
Yeah.
So I know you're not going to like this answer, but you can also, if you are having trouble conveying it to these people, you can go to ChatGPT and ask it to generate kind of what you're looking for, and then give that as a reference to be like, hey, this is kind of what I'm going for.
No, I actually do like that, because that's, other than the environmental impact, which they need to do better at, that is a good use for it, like as a reference, right? That's that
concept art.
That's not terrible, because
hunting down for something to make a mood board online, for images you could.
Yeah, but I mean, but again, you're still getting somebody to draw for you. You just have to have a way to convey what you're trying to describe, and that's assuming that the AI generator can do it. Because
apparently that's what Larian Studios
like, I guess he wants 6 fingers for some reason.
Apparently that's what Larian Studios is doing now. Like they're not using AI to generate the final art and stuff, but what they are doing is using it to just like iterate through concept art very fast. Be like, does this look good? Does this look good? Does this look good? Right? Until they get to what they actually want it to be, and then they put the effort into it.
And I don't think that's a bad use for it at all. I mean, like that's I honestly, as an artist myself, like I would really appreciate having an AI model that I could like move around and use as it would be the same thing as having that wooden skeleton reference, but being able to like generate an idea and then be able to move it around and kind of use it as a reference. I think that's really cool, but I shouldn't be using that image and publishing it, because I didn't draw it, So, there's another thing too, is that like it's how you print the book, I think, is also really important. Because printing an RPG book is different than printing a novel, right? Because like the one of the things that I ended up discovering, and maybe just because I was lucky to be on the comic book side of things, but like it turns out that comic book printers have a better pricing than a regular printer. And if you go to a comic book printer, you can, for the kinds of books we're making, you can often get a much better price.
Is that because of the paper, or just because it's like a thing that's been done so much that it's cheaper?
Well, because they understand the business they're in, I think, and they've structured it to be able to support that business. Because so you go to Comic-Con, you'll find somebody who's selling a 22-page comic book for $8, and that's really stupid because they've gone to a regular printer, and that's just what it cost because they were doing a print run of say 100 copies, and it was expensive, right? But if you were to go to another printer that specifically specializes it, like the one I use a lot is Kablam, they have really reasonable pricing. And their pricing is structured so that you could still sell that $5 comic book and do okay, right? And so the more pages you add on, like the more economical it gets. And there is like a critical mass when it comes to color. Like if you want to put out a book in color, that's the way to go. But there's also like you're not going to get very many pages, right? Because there's a critical mass of like how much you could sell the book for. Like trying to sell this thing in color, I couldn't do it, but I actually can order this book from a company like Kablam, and like there's been price increases recently because of like tariffs on paper and stuff, but like you can still make your book at a point where it's actually kind of affordable. There's kind of a sweet spot, and so if you're willing to go black and white, which I think is smart, you can actually get some really good pricing for your book. You just have to, but it gets to the point I was making at the beginning. You need to know how you're printing it, because before you even make your book, you need to know what your format's going to be. And I've had a lot of success with the comic book format recently. It works really well.
And you could do a zine format, right? If you want smaller.
Yeah, no, we've done that too. I think I've got one right here that we made, or Greg might have. Yeah, have it. But yeah, here, like we did this one, which was the Sad Hot Dog Man. But it's a compilation of stuff that we were just printing off my printer over here, and then right here, and then which has the Eagle 5. But anyhow, but yeah, so yes, it's it's one of those fake Lego kits. My wife got it for me. But so we did a compilation of our zine books that we made. But this does pretty good actually.
So you printing this from home? Your actual printer?
No, my wife, I don't remember who she got, but she went and found a printer that did it.
Okay.
Did it for her, but
that's like just like a Kinko's or something, like a little printer.
No, it's like like it's not Vistaprint because I think their product is cheap, but there are a lot of competitors to Vistaprint. I think there's we've used Mixam before for some stuff, and but there's a lot of printers that are they're online printers that they do have a physical location, but they do most of their businesses through online customers, and they have really good rates, and you can tell them what you want, and they'll give you a bid, and you just pick the best one. But but like the comic book printers, I think are the smartest way to go, because they're specifically structured around the idea that comic books sell for a certain amount of money, and so they build their product line into that format. And so if you can build your RPG around it, you can get a much better rate than you would from any other printer in the country, and be able to print it here potentially. So it actually works fairly well. And the nice thing about doing a comic book is that so I've got this book here, it's a this is our alternate cover, but this is like a 60-page book. I can get a decent price for this. I can sell this for $15, and 60 pages, and they're very little effort versus the return. So these are very profitable books, and they're easy to sell, because people don't usually, if it's got something that's interesting and compelling, you can sell that for $15, and that's a lot more than it costs them to actually print the book.
Cool.
They're extremely profitable books.
So you'd say if it's a low enough page count, even though you're shipping an RPG thing, just have it printed like a comic, because it's way cheaper.
In fact, I actually like doing it this way, because one, you can get a cardstock cover, which is really great. You got full color on the cover. And by the way, my friend Amelia did this one for us. So this is her cover. But and then she also did some of the back cover art, which is great. Amelia Pendleton, she's awesome. Commission her. But like the book. See, what I like about the comic book format is you can have the book; it'll hold open, right? So the book is very forgiving. You can abuse the shit out of it, and you're not going to damage it as like you would with a normal book.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about the binding failing. And with Kablam, you can go up to 80 pages and still do that.
So, but if you're going to do like a actual real core rule book, what do you suggest for printing?
Well, I've done some with Kablam. You just have to shop around to see what the options are. Again, unfortunately, recently prices have gone up, and so that affects things a bit. But a comic book, look at comic book printers. There's the best prices come from China, but you have to be willing to commit to a large order, right?
Yeah.
And we recently did that. Actually, we were talking to a printer in China and ordered 300 copies of my core book, which are on their way right now. And so that's great because you bring your pricing down, but you just have to be able to like your price per unit, and will come down a lot. But then you have to be able to put up $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever it is, and that's something that.
Where are you going to put them all?
Well, we actually just expanded our storage space, so.
Oh, yeah, nice. There you go.
Yeah, we moved out of our storage unit and we got into a larger space just recently. So I have somewhere to put it now.
And when you self-publish, do you suggest doing PDFs too, or no?
I do, but I also do my PDFs better. Like you see my PDFs, right, Greg? Where I have everything pre-bookmarked.
I think so.
Yeah. So that's actually.
Yes. Yeah.
Because what I've noticed that every time I bought a book off drive-through, and I don't know if this is because they're flattening it somehow, but like it's just a row of pages, and you would have to go through and bookmark everything individually. And so what I've been doing with my PDFs to make it more appealing is when you save the book, you're saving each section page by page or chapter by chapter, but I'm sectioning it out already. And so when I compress the PDF into a PDF, all these sections are already bookmarked with page titles and section names, right? So when you expand out the bookmark tab on one of mine, you've got this huge selection of things that's already laid out for you. So the book, again, like I'm concerned about accessibility and making it easy to use. And that was one of the things that really bugged me.
It's good for finding stuff.
Yeah. But it turns out like you have to be careful because when you're protecting your PDF, some of the ways of protecting it flatten it and destroy all your bookmarks.
Oh, okay.
And so that's why you have to make sure like you're using just really good password protection and some other stuff. But be careful how you're protecting it because you can lose all these features if you're building it into it. But
it's kind of like when your house hasn't been painted in a long time.
Yeah.
But you don't want to get it replaced because it's so appealing.
Yeah. Thank you, Greg.
I've been thinking about that for like the last 5 minutes. Sorry.
I think also we can't really have this conversation without getting into the playtesting discussion as well. Because if it I was building it on a 5e template, so I knew that there was a lot of stuff I didn't have to worry about with playtesting. But I also brought in a lot of new elements, and so they were like, when you've done things a long time, you can kind of look sometimes and like, go, okay, I know this is okay. And there's other things where it may not be, right? And so you still have to do your playtesting and put the time in, and that could be years of work, to make it ready. Like it's not just a matter of building your content; you also have to know that it's good.
Yeah, Evil Hat was writing something. One of the main people at Evil Hat talking about their gaming process whenever they work with a game designer and stuff, and sometimes it could take 2 years, like from beginning to end or more.
Yeah, and I'm also doing this around a full-time job, so it's like, it's not like I all I'm doing all day is writing. Like, I mean, in some regards I am, because I'm never not thinking about it, but like, that aspect of it is important because like I've kind of got a flow where I've got a group of players and friends that are like they're down for anything and they think it's all awesome, so they'll play all the stuff, but you still have to check it out. Like that actually was interesting because that Orville campaign we ran actually was intending to play test content I was developing. So it was also kind of like that whole pitch to JP was a little self-serving because it gave me an opportunity to try out some other stuff. So, yeah. Thanks, Marks. But it's like you have to take those opportunities, right? So, and it's also very worth mentioning, I think, and jump in. I don't want to take up the whole thing. Like, but
you have the most experience.
that is true. But like, it's also interesting, kind of like, I think RPGs is also the same thing as like comics, where you go to Comic-Con and you see every year there's somebody new that's pushing a new book, and they won't be there next year, right? Like, you're only going to see them once because they discover what it actually takes to do this, right? And it's maybe more than they were really thought, they were in for. And so, like, our people making RPGs are very much the same thing. Like, those who rise to the top and become like, Green Ronin or an OSR or something, like some of those big companies, like they're, Goodman Games, like they're few, right? And there's lots of people that jump in and go, okay, well, I'm going to make a game. That's really cool. And then they discover, oh, this is hard. And then they go away. And right now it's actually a challenging market, because like an independent person, like doing what I'm doing, if I was developing my game with my own game engine, I would have failed already. Even though I, obviously decry the dominance of 5e, I can see where the market is. I still have to build around that, because you have to kind of go where there's customers. It's a much harder thing to build up your own
fan base.
Switch
it to Daggerheart or Shadow Dark.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to do that though. I've already because I've already
Cyber Dark.
Well, that would be really good.
Shadow Symbiosis.
No, Cyber Dark is really good, but
Cyber Dark's good.
That is real good,
but I don't know if that system will work well.
Yeah, well, I mean, people said that 5e wouldn't do it either, and it works fine. It all works fine for Star Wars. But that's the thing, is like
those
there's
people
all that.
Are wrong.
Yeah, exactly. But you have just God, you guys killed my train of thought.
We're great at that.
Yeah.
But with play testing, I think that's a good point. And I didn't ever think about that, but before 5e is like English, right? Mm-hmm. And to go away from using the English language, you have to have a really good reason. As in, like, the language has to be way better, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's really hard to not do 5e. And I didn't think about that point, that as far as playtesting goes, your game balance is going to be so much closer to being actually balanced if you use 5e system, because it's inherited in all its classes.
Well, I mean, there are lots of open source, like there's OpenD6 that they use the original Star Wars RPG. Like you could, if you pick something that already exists, and then there will be a group of players that are already ready to go that may want what you have. And the advantage to putting like a 5e rule set into a different genre is there's this massive collection of people out there that are hungry for something else because they think there has to be more than fantasy. And then if you're the guy who's in front of them that day, you get that sale, right?
Yeah, look at Neon Odyssey's. Neon Odyssey's Kickstarter, right? It's D&D in space, and it's made tons of money.
Yeah.
So,
but you also have to be able to sell yourself too. Like, you got to be willing to get out there and communicate easily, and be able to do that pitch and do it over and over again, and be well practiced and refine it to success, right? And you have to be able to sell your product, because you're the salesman. There isn't going to be anyone else. And it's the same kind of thing in comics, where most of the time the creative people are not good at selling themselves, and you have to get good at it, because no one else is going to do it for you.
Unless you get a boot, like a cosplay girl to do it for you.
Unless you got that. But
or guy, whatever.
But it is probably one of the most important aspects of it, because once you've gone to all the effort of putting a good product together, you've got the book printed, you've got it all play tested, you figured out the art solution. If you can't sell the book, then you've just spent a lot of money for nothing.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can't just rely on internet sales. You have to be able to get out there and actually work the con circuit and promote it.
So we just talked about in a previous episode different popular role-play games. I know you fell on primarily 5e. It's their own version of 5e, but like, if you were going to do it today, and we kind of touched on, is there any other systems out there that tempt you with their license?
Well, there are some
popular enough.
There are some OSR game mechanics that I would like to have incorporated. Like, I really like the way they I can't remember which one who does it, but like where you just roll a skill check for your magic, and then you just automatically cast, and it just, how good the skill check is determines the results. I like that a lot. But I also like a spell point system, because that's what I've done over years with Palladium, and I know how to do it. And so I felt more comfortable with that. But there are a few game mechanics I would like to have incorporated a narrative die or a narrative system into it more. if I could go back and do that, I would find a way to do that. But like
when you say narrative system, you mean like how PBTA does, or you mean like a meta currency kind of thing? Like,
I like what Blades in the Dark does with it, where you have the ability to retcon storyline elements, like has a narrative component to it. Yeah, I love that aspect of it, where you can basically, because there's always that problem where it's like, well, I would have done this, but you didn't though, and so like you have to be that hard ass eventually. You have to be able to say no because they actually didn't think of it. And I just had that exact situation come up, on Sunday night with last Sunday was something where like we would have done this thing. I know, but you didn't actually. And we're halfway to the quest, and I gave you every opportunity, like, and then they're like, oh yeah, we need a way to hold it. Like they're questing for this magic plant, and they never thought to bring a way to carry it.
Yeah, and that kind of mechanic. That's a heist game usually, and I think that's really important for a heist type genre, because it's really tough to think of that in advance and plan, or otherwise you spend like an hour planning or something.
Well, and that's the thing. We ended up turning the campaign that night turned into a side quest of like where they're going to get a flower pot, and they ended up digging up a dead body to get a skull. That was their big.
I feel like there had to be an easier way to get a flower pot.
Yeah,
no,
but anyways, so and they used Speak with Dead to ask permission to use the guy's skull for this.
Oh, that's funny.
That is amazing. Yeah, no, that's great. But no, but like having a narrative component where they can spend like a narrative currency, I like that a lot. I might actually put that in an upcoming book. But
I've always liked it, like with fate points and hero points and masterminds, that kind of stuff.
Well, because like I have a luck point system. I could change my luck point system so that have alternate rules where that is how you do it. Like you can spend a luck point to retcon something, and that's actually what I'll probably end up doing. But like it is, because like I know it's a heist mechanic, but that is like such an RPG problem, and so I like the solution to it. I wish I had seen more about Blades in the Dark, because I would have, early on, but it didn't exist yet. So yeah. But like overall though, I am pretty confident. Like I'm happy with what I made. I'm not going to go back and make major changes. There won't be a second edition. Like, this is
that's what they all say. It's what they
know, but I think unless there's a reason why like it becomes uncool to have 5e, but then if you do a second edition, all your previous books are now invalid. So it's like you
got new books for people to buy. No,
maybe
when there's a 6th edition you might reconsider, but not right now. Right. So
actually when they do 6th edition D&D, that's better for me, because then I can capture the people that want that, want to stay with 5e. So that's basically what Pathfinder's done. So
sure.
Will they do a 6th edition?
They really do. And I don't think it can come out of Wizards. I think it has to come from they need to farm it out. So
yep.
Dark.
Yep.
Yeah.
They made one good digital product, and it wasn't done by them.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. But no, like it is. I mean, like publishing an RPG product. I mean, it isn't just a simple matter of like, hey, I've got a good idea and putting it out. There's like so much that goes into it. Like the layout of the book is so important. And look.
And I'll just put this out there: if you're doing it for the love of it, you don't have to sell it. I mean, you can just publish something for fun and find a Discord of a community that would appreciate it, throw it in there, throw it on Reddit, throw it wherever. And who knows, maybe something will come of that.
Well, I'll tell you this book, I spent 4 years actually putting it together. It drew from work prior, years of work that came before it for other stuff that went into this. Like, so it's not just, it's hard to quantify how long this actually took me to make. Right. Because like I took other work I had done and then adapted it into this thing. Mm-hmm. But like, once I was ready to start writing it, actually putting it together, it took 4 years, start to finish, to get this book. Then I had to deal with editing, which I had to do some of that myself, right? I had to learn how to do it because again, editors cost a lot. And, like you don't want
like an AI. No, I'm teasing.
I wouldn't trust an AI to do that though. That's the thing. No. Because even like language models, like even programs that like are already programmed to correct you aren't necessarily good, right? Yeah. And so it's like like then there, like I probably spent 3 years, and I'm still selling an imperfect book that is full of like grammatical mistakes and spelling errors and commas in the wrong places, right? So it took 3 years to get that part to the point where I'm
I
happy
tried
with it.
looking for grammatical problems. I didn't really. I think I sent you one, but
Yeah,
couldn't really find any.
but you're also not an English teacher, Greg, and
That's
neither am
true.
I. Excuse me. So like that was another problem, and like I know an editor, and she would have done it happily, and I couldn't afford her, because I'm.
And I was going to say, if you're going to sell it, you have to go through all this stuff, right? You have to get the art,
Mhm.
you have to get the editing, you have to do all this stuff. If you're
Yeah.
giving it out for free, just find the easiest way and do it.
Yeah, exactly. But like there was
Yeah.
a point where I just had to stop. Like I had to actually start putting it out because I know it wasn't done, but it had all the stuff there to play it. The editing of like the spelling errors weren't fixed, but like people are understanding. Like I had there's a huge list of people that supported it, play testers, and you guys are in there, but like the reality is that yeah, I had a lot of help, but still I had to do 90% of this work myself, right? And that's probably one of the biggest things I have in my advantage is people look at this thing and they're like, oh wait, you did this all yourself, amazing. Like that's probably one of the biggest kudos I get. And you may find that that's like the immensity of the project like that might be more than you're prepared for. Like in
For
that
sure.
4-year time span, I only missed 7 days working on it. That I didn't do
Wow.
something to move it forward. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm sure my wife has lots of opinions on that, but I was like, I mean, I was out. I had a tablet device with me. I was every second I wasn't working, I was on that typing away, and then you get to a point where I can only do it at home. So you're like every second you have at home, you're on the computer, building, editing, compiling, moving stuff around, and it's
Yeah.
it isn't I can't even tell you how many hours went into making it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I do think it's interesting that a lot of these people who are making books and systems now started out just publishing homebrew content
Yeah.
for free, effectively.
Mhm.
And then when they finally decided to take the leap, then they went through all the effort that you're going through.
Mhm.
And I do think that's a pretty good idea. Not just because you get popular from doing homebrew. I don't think you will. I think those people are lucky, right? But because it does teach you a lot about making game systems when you start homebrewing your own content and balancing and things like
Well,
that.
I mean,
So
I was doing that for years. I just was doing it for my home table.
yeah,
You know?
exactly. That's
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do, right? And so yeah, I think that's a good way to go about it too. Is if you think you have an idea, try just homebrewing to start out, and then when you get it for far enough, then it'll be very clear. I think when it's like, wait a minute, I have a whole system in my head here.
Well, I mean, it's all homebrew at the end of the day. I mean, then it
Yeah.
gets published. Oh, it's not, but like, I mean, it's kind of
Yeah.
like all words are made up, right? Well, all RPGs are homebrew, so it's,
Yeah.
And you can
it's,
always put like your early homebrew when you think it's ready, a rough version. You can put it up and pay what you want on itch.io, drive through,
Yeah.
and build from there. So,
but so I did have an experience where I was sharing my homebrew, my early versions, and then one of my friends decided to take upon himself to post it on Reddit, and it got downvoted into oblivion. And
Wow.
it's like, I don't know why he would think to do that, and he had a nice little justifier for having done it, and it wasn't like, but at the end of the day, it was kind of not cool. He should have asked. And so like
that's why
you know
a lot of people do NDAs, and people get like, why do I need to sign NDA? Because sometimes your friends don't understand.
exactly. So and like I don't dislike the guy. I like him. I respect him a lot. Actually, he's one of my favorite players to play with. But like at the same time, like when if it's not ready, it's not ready. And like I a couple years down the road, it was in a state where people like it, but it was pretty rough when he did that. It
He probably thought it was going to take off, and you're going to thank him.
I don't know what he was thinking, but there was another aspect of it too for me, because I remember I it like 3 years in, and actually I had got into a state where it was ready to go within 3 years, and I was getting close to being able to send it to a printer, and then the OGL thing hit, and so and then it was like, oh right, I cannot, because it was just straight a 5e game, had proficiency bonus, the whole thing, spell slots, everything, and suddenly overnight I couldn't print it. Right. Because we had this problem where like, okay, like I know right now everything that's currently in production is grandfathered in, but future books you put out will be bound by whatever changes they're trying to make. And even though we knew it was bullshit, we didn't know if anybody was going to fight it. We didn't know if they were going to get away with these changes. So it's like, I'm putting out a book that I will never be able to profit from because I can't put out future books.
It was a bad time.
But the whole point is that I needed this book too. It's not just this book. I can't live off of this book, but I can live off of these, right? So it's like, I need future product, and I was never going to get it if the worst case scenario that was being proposed happened, right? So suddenly I had to stop and pivot, and I had to spend the next year rewriting the damn thing.
And then it became Creative Commons.
Yes, which may or may not have been a good idea, but like, because that created all kinds of legal problems for WotC and Hasbro as well. You know, because they weren't careful about what they put in Creative Commons. There were things that went into Creative Commons that should not have. They were just so in such a hurry to get us to shut up.
Well, that's a Wizards problem.
Yeah, exactly. But like, so like, I had another year now added to my development cycle, which then, got me to do the things that I had wanted to do from the beginning, but I was thinking like I couldn't because I thought I had to stick to this product, like these expectations of a customer. And so I was able to like go in and make a lot of changes and add features and, strip out stuff and put in new things. And it actually, I think, made a better product. Like creativity thrives on limitations. So.
Yep. All right. We better wrap up. It's just been going long.
Yeah. We have another short topic.
It's so short.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Let us know. Are you trying to indie publish? Have you indie published? Do you have any tips you want to share or any questions?
Just the tip.
Yeah, exactly. And I suppose if there's questions, I will actually have to answer them.
Yes. So. If there's questions, you have to answer, buddy.
Yeah.
So I can answer questions about publishing fiction books, but I can't do role-playing games. So,
well, you've done some stuff. You just not as much as I have. But
yeah. All righty. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and until next time, go publish something.
Self-published.
Oh, self-published. Yeah, absolutely. Self-publish.
When the dice roll high, we touch the sky. But when they crash, it's a belly laugh. Genre play, lighting the way. Our tales are